and we'll get into this. This evening's program is Social Media for Prout by Sri Raksha Mohan, who prefers to go by Raksha. So we're happy to have her here. When you signed up for this evening's event, you probably saw her brief bio, so I won't repeat a lot of that. But I guess I did want to touch on three things that I think make her especially well suited for the program this evening. One, she's a computer scientist and also a software engineer, which in my mind computes to she's tech savvy, which is very useful. I think the other thing is she's very active in Prout Alliance and Prout Universal, where she actually serves on a social media work group, which I think is giving her great experience and something that I think she can add to the efforts here within Prout Alliance. And I think the other thing, not to embarrass anyone, but relativity is alive and well, and relative to some of us, Raksha is young. And I think that's a strength because she brings kind of a new vision and perspective about things, and new energy and willingness to work, you know, on what I think are probably truly daunting problems ahead for society. I must also mention something in passing. Sri Raksha is actually one of the authors on an article chapter that went into this book, which was published in conjunction with COP26 Glasgow. And in fact, the chapter is the biggest chapter in the book. So congratulations to Raksha, and her co-authors. And she has graciously agreed at some point to do a seminar on climate change from a Prout perspective. So I think we'll all look forward to that very much. And it was sort of interesting. A couple of us were on just a little bit early, and I asked if I should mention anything about Elon Musk and his recent significant purchase of shares in Twitter. And I think she was already well aware of that. So it might be an interesting thing to hear some of her thoughts on the ramifications of that, because not too surprisingly, Musk is coming with a real agenda about things he wants to change there. So I think that's enough of me. Raksha, the floor is yours, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Jitendra. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Please let me know when you can see this in the presentation mode.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. So, like Jitendra mentioned, today's topic of discussion is social media for Prout. He was very generous in his introduction. I have some tech skills, and I am sure that is not something very special. Everybody can manage social media, and I hope through this presentation, I inspire some of you to join our social media teams and help us to get the word out about Prout. Okay, with that, let's go ahead. So in this presentation, I'll be broadly touching upon these three topics: the impact social media has had on our lives and our society, not just social media, but also all forms of communication technologies like internet, smartphones, and everything we use to communicate on a day-to-day basis. And why should Proutists be active on the internet and social media platforms? That's something we're going to discuss. And finally, we are going to brainstorm some strategies for making the best use of communication technologies for Prout. So I would like to start off with some statistics. As per a recent survey by a digital marketing company or a digital marketing website, 58.4% of the world uses social media. That is 4.62 billion people around the world are connected to social media. In the last 12 months alone, 424 million new users have come online, which means pandemic must have forced people to go online, adopt technology for their day-to-day activities, and as a natural consequence, they may have come on social media platforms also. The unique number of cell phone users is 5.31 billion, and the unique number of internet users is 4.95 billion. So through social media, internet, and communication technologies, we are looking at reaching out to at least more than half the population of the world. This map shows how much of social media has been adopted by the populations of different regions on the planet. North America, where Prout Alliance function, has 82% of its population on social media. And if you see the map, in most of developed world, more than 80% of people, or at least more than 70% of people, are all on social media. And slowly and surely, the developing regions of the world are also getting on social media because of ubiquity of smartphones. Smartphones have become so cheap, so accessible, and communication technologies, by that I mean access to Wi-Fi and internet and cellular data has become so ubiquitous that eventually everyone is going to get on one or the other social media platform. So here's some information about the world's most used social media platforms. Facebook is the king of social media, it looks like, although demographic data shows that Facebook's user population is more of an aging population, and younger users tend to use Instagram, TikTok, and other forms, Snapchat especially, and other forms of social media. YouTube is a close contender to Facebook. So you all may recall that Facebook and YouTube have had a tremendous impact on the 2016 election and the events that unfolded after the 2020 election, where supporters of the ex-president stormed the Capitol. And there is a lot of data to show that it was mostly Facebook and YouTube that had an impact on brainwashing a lot of these people who undertook the actions they took. So yeah, that said, there are other social media platforms also which are popular and which are gaining popularity. TikTok has seen a tremendous amount of growth. It is a media platform for short videos, and a younger population is using TikTok as per the data. Okay, the next statistics I would like to present is the average time per month a user spends on social media platform. I'm sure these are really conservative estimates taken average, but people who are really active on social media, I'm sure are spending more than about 23 hours per month on YouTube, or more than 20 hours per month on Facebook. But this must be a conservative estimate of data which digital marketing companies must have come up with. But we are looking at least 20-25 hours of engagement on social media by an average user of social media. So where does this lead us? It is easy to be overwhelmed by social media and internet and ubiquity of information all around us. But the founder of Prout, P.R. Sarkar, had predicted this. He had seen this coming, and he had said that development in means of communication is going to bring remote parts of the world closer, and the world will start functioning as one big unit and can also come up with ways of functioning smoothly and efficiently. So as Proutists, as overwhelming as it is to be in this era of information revolution, I think we should seize the opportunity to reach out to as many people as we can through social media, especially given the statistics we just saw. So here are some points or some of my thoughts about how social media and internet has influenced society. There are It's easy to talk about a lot of cons. Yes, we know that misinformation was spread, especially during the pandemic. Conspiracy theories became a part of our daily life. A lot of divisiveness, and social media sort of created echo chambers for people to confirm their own political views, for people to confirm their own conspiracy theories with other people. It created all of this. That said, the pros of having so much communication technology around us is that information is at our fingertips. No one really has to go to library and check out a book to find information about something. Not that people should not be doing it. I encourage people to read more, to know more. But when information is needed, it is our fingertips. So if we have the critical thinking ability to apply information at our fingertips to the issues, day-to-day issues, all forms of misinformation can be corrected. And the biggest advantage of having all this information and all this technology and social media adaptability is we have a very large audience. We have a large audience to globalize and spread Prout and neo-humanistic ideas. In the recent times, social media has played a very important role in social activism. And some of the examples that come to my mind immediately are Arab Spring, which created dissent and protests against corrupt movements in the Arab world. This was around 2011. Facebook and Twitter had just come on the scenes, I think, after 2005 or 6, and there were all these revolutions and protests happening. And most of these people were using social media to organize these protests. This was one of the earliest impacts of social media from my memory, from my recollection. It was the Arab Spring and Occupy Wall Street also at around the same time in 2011. And more recently, we saw the Me Too movement gathering steam on Twitter, and that spoke about sexual abuse and oppression of women. Black Lives Matter also used social media effectively to organize protesters, and we did see a lot of change in the aftermath of the Black Lives Matter protest that was happening throughout 2020. Here are a few quotes I collected from people who spoke about Occupy Wall Street and the Arab Spring way back in 2011. Most of you may know that change.org is this platform where people can make petitions and mobilize support for social causes. Same with purpose.com. It helps people mobilize and organize around activism. So the founders of both these companies have these things to say about the use of social media and internet. Change.org founder says the best way to get people away from their computer is through the computer. You can't organize thousands of people in New York City without the web. And when he made this comment, he was talking about 450,000, or I may have gotten the number wrong. Yeah, I think it's 450,000 people who showed up at the Occupy Wall Street protests. In the same year, Purpose.com founder said, it's not as much about the tools, it's about smart people using the best tools they can to bring people together. And as Proutists, we cannot agree more with this. So we all know that technology is only a tool, and the right application of technology matters more than the technology itself. Technology alone cannot drive social change. Smart people, intelligent people, and ethical people need to start putting all this technology to good use for social good. Here are some more statistics about how well social media was used by different groups of people to encourage others to take action. And it was, the report pointed to how Black and Hispanic users have used social media more than other races to organize protests or to encourage other people to take action. And my thoughts, after looking into this data, my thoughts were that even if the mainstream media doesn't pay attention to some of the issues faced by the marginalized population, social media has given voice to these marginalized people to speak up, take action, look for information, or participate in rallies. So this was a heartening information to stumble upon. And also looking at the age demography, it looks like those between 18 to 29 years of age use social media more than other age groups to organize or to share something or to express their political views through hashtags and other means that are available on social media. And this is some data with respect to political leanings. 28% of Republicans and 42% of Democrats use more social media to post something, and that is consistent all across all these columns. I'm not sure what to make out of that, but the positive point to take away from this slide is that we have a lot of marginalized group, the minorities, who are using social media to voice their opinions, and we have a lot of younger people who are voicing their opinions through social media. So this is a demography Proutists should be able to tap into if we can adopt social media and come up with strategies to reach out to these groups of people. Here's another infographic about how much of news today is consumed through just social media. So a 2021 survey showed that nearly a third of Americans get news on Facebook. This is 30%. So 66% is the total percentage of people who are on Facebook, the total population of adults who are on Facebook, and of them, 31% regularly get their news from Facebook, and 22% regularly get news from YouTube. And Twitter gets from Twitter 13%, and so on and so forth. So when we see this, we understand that traditional ways of getting news, like maybe TVs or print, is sort of becoming outdated. I'm not commenting on it, but I'm not commenting if it's good or if it's bad, but more and more people are relying upon social media and news website and apps to get their daily news. And this can also explain why some people are really, really misguided in the kind of news they get and they consume, and why a lot of misinformation has been spreading in social media, because anything that is shared on these news media, these social media platforms, is not thoroughly vetted. It's not like a news agency is running and thoroughly vetting all the information that comes out on social media. But yet we have social media that is playing such an important role in people's life with respect to the news they're gaining from social media. So with that in mind, we have to think about why there is spread of so much misinformation. Like I mentioned, these are social media platforms, and they're not really news agencies, which have teams of people vetting the information, but also a lot of other news channels and websites are coming into mind where they're a news agency and they still choose to put out misinformation there. But in case of social media, everybody and anybody can post information without very little constraint or with very little vetting from these social media platforms. So there are two factors that lead to spread of misinformation on social media. One is the algorithm itself. The algorithms on these social media platforms reward engagement. The more a post or more a picture or a video gets likes and shares and comments, that is the content that's amplified. That is just how algorithms work. That is how humans have designed algorithms without giving much thought into what should be amplified or what should be not. That said, the human element to it is applicable when we think about what is it that is making people like and share and comment certain type of content. So people on the social media act based upon their own biases. So the kind of content people engage with is also directly fed by the biases people have, and they try to engage with the information that conforms to their own worldviews. So this vulnerability can be exploited by businesses and political parties that are targeting these vulnerable populations of people with sentimentally charged messages, with messages or posts that invokes anger and makes them interact with it more than they should be doing. And that again becomes a feedback mechanism to the algorithms that amplify the kind of content that gets more engagement from users. So these are the negative points of an algorithm-based news generation or algorithm-based information generation. But when you look at the human factor involved in it, then the Proutists, we got to think, how could we create a society of humans? How could we create consciousness and awareness and education so that when people interact with content on social media, they would stop, they would think what they're commenting and sharing or liking, or even what they believe to be is true. So Prout plays a very important role in educating the masses. And when an educated mass is out there interacting on these social media platforms, the algorithms are also trained to spread positivity around on the internet. Regarding the spread of misinformation, I would want to bring everybody's attention to what P.R. Sarkar had said in his lifetime about misinformation. He had already predicted this. Communism is dying, and when communism dies, a big void is created if that void is not filled by good information, by a good philosophy or good ideas, then another demonic theory may take its place. So it makes me think that as Proutists, our number one priority should be filling this void. After communism, we have largely been living in a very capitalistic society where greed and selfish interest has taken over the planet. So we got to be thinking about how do we fill the void and how do we educate, how do we reach out to largest number of people and engage with them. Sarkar also mentioned that people who are interested in educating the masses should be in control of ethical people who are interested in educating the masses should also be in control of radio, television, films, and other forms of media. He was talking about the media in the past, but today social media is ubiquitous and qualified Proutists should be on social media and taking charge of spreading the right message on these media platforms. I'm sorry, I think I stopped sharing, did I? Have I stopped sharing?
You're sharing now.
Okay. So that was about the spread of misinformation and what Proutists could do. And now I think this was the most important part of my presentation today, and this is what I wanted to discuss with everybody. Proposals for a strategy to fill the void on social media. These strategies came directly out of a Prout Space session organized by Proutist Universal, and Arun from Finland presented these strategies. I think it makes sense to have the strategies in any sector in any region where Prout work is happening. So the first point in the strategy is Proutists use social media actively and everybody gets an account and uses it. I know it is overwhelming to be on social media or on the internet all day long, while there is so much else happening around us. But those who are on social media, or if you're not on social media, if you could get at least one account, on one of the platforms, maybe Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is that you're comfortable with, and start engaging with Prout content, then the social media algorithms kind of amplify that content. So Proutist Universal is already on Facebook. Prout Alliance is on Facebook. So those of you who are on Facebook could probably go like or join these pages. It's on Twitter and YouTube as well. Proutist Universal recently got a Medium account, and we have been posting some articles on Medium and on Telegram. We do not have a presence on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. TikTok and Snapchat, I emphasize because a younger group of population between 18 and 29, they use TikTok and Snapchat a lot. So we have to recruit Proutists or train them to use TikTok, especially younger Proutists, to use TikTok and Snapchat more. So like I said, Proutist getting on social media and interacting with these Prout pages, Prout groups, and Prout accounts would actually feed the social media algorithms to amplify our messages. So the second strategy follows the first one. Once you have a social media account, please go like, subscribe, or join to Proutist Universal, Prout Alliance, or any other Prout social media platform out there, and encourage others to join as well. I'll post this in the chat later so that you all can go take a look at it. Follow and interact with any local or global Prout social media pages you may come across. The third point is recruit other Proutists to do the same. If you think you have a social media skill, you're familiar with one platform, then probably recruit somebody else around you, some other Proutist around you, teach the person and help the person get on board to that social media platform. Social media platforms are basically social networks. They used to be called social networks. Now it's called social media because it's just sort of like mainstream media. That's become a source of news for people. But basically, at the core of it, these social media platforms are networks, and networks thrive by participation of all the members of the network. Networks cannot stand alone on its own in isolation. So as Proutists, we have a responsibility to form networks of other Proutists through these social media platforms. Spreading the word has to be a collective effort on the network. Then the next point in the strategy is start a local account to share on local issues using the local language. This would probably be the most effective strategy because local issues and local language would strike a chord with people, and that would probably ensure more participation from local people. Here are some examples of Prout social media platforms in local languages. Prout Suomi, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It's the Finnish word for Finland. This is Prout Finland. And on the right side is a picture of a Prout website in local language Hindi in India. So here in the USA, where Prout Alliance function, not just USA, Canada, Mexico, Caribbean, and parts of Central America, Spanish is also a widely used language. So I would invite Proutists to get in touch with us if they're willing to start a Prout Alliance Facebook or Twitter account in Spanish, or it could be any other platform, any other social media platform in Spanish. This would help us reach out to a lot more people than we are reaching out to. In one of my previous slides, like I'd mentioned, like I showed, the data showed that Black and Hispanic communities are engaging more on social media. So we should think about how many more people we can reach out to if we start something in Spanish, in a language that is more familiar to them. The fifth point in this strategy is whatever we post, we should be doing it in a coordinated manner. Share opinions, ideas, and experiences with our network outside of the public social media. Form groups of Proutists. Think through what we want to post on social media that represent Prouts. At the end of the day, we are representing Prout through the social media. So verify everything you post on social media, or just give it some thought whether it is true. Give some thought about what Prout would have said about this issue before posting about this issue. So the best way to come to a conclusion of whether this is right or wrong to post on social media is to discuss with other Proutists. You could also reach out to Proutist Universal PR team and Prout Alliance materials team if you have questions about what to post and what not to post. And I would suggest the best way to know that you're posting something right is to visit Prout Alliance Facebook or the Proutist Universal Facebook pages, the Twitter pages, and probably reshare and repost that information on your social media networks. It could be either your personal account you're sharing on or to other Prout groups. All content that goes on Prout Alliance and Proutist Universal social media content is generated by a group of Proutists. It's not just one person who's sitting, is posting articles. We think through it, we decide what to post, and if there are mistakes, we correct. It's a brainstorming session, and then content goes on these social media platforms. So the best way is to look up the Facebook pages of PU or Prout Alliance and grab some material from there. Also, most importantly, to be able to think deeply and to be able to think correctly about what Prout would have represented or what Prout would have done under a given circumstance. Prout education is of utmost importance. So I would encourage all Proutists to spend some time educating themselves on the Prout philosophy itself to be able to properly represent Prout on social media. With that, on that note, I would like to close my presentation, and please get involved. We need a lot of writers, artists, and video makers to generate good Prout content. Good content defeats the bad content. And if we want engagement on social media, we have to be creative about how we put out Prout content and how we spread the message of Prout. So visit prout.info, proutalliance.org. There are a bunch of articles on both these websites. There are podcasts. Please feel free to share that information on your own social media accounts or social media networks. And we especially need some help here at Prout Alliance with Twitter. To manage Prout Alliance Twitter, please reach out to steering@proutalliance.org. And if you would like to work for or contribute to Proutist Universal, get in touch with contact@proutglobal.org. I'm going to put this all in chat. And also in the upcoming Prout convention, there is a workshop on social media. Please look out for more details. So yeah, with that, I close the presentation and I open the floor for sharing questions or sharing experiences, or if you have any questions.
We encourage people, if you'd like to ask questions, or Raksha, to raise your hand by using the react down below the icon that says reaction. You click on the one with your where it says raise hand at the bottom, and then your hand will show up, and we can unmute you, and you can then share with us and ask your questions.
Questions or any experiences with social media? We open for discussion on that. I think Mayatita has a question.
Okay, my question will reveal my level of knowledge of social media, but so what does it actually mean to like something? What is the practical impact? Does that cause Facebook, for example, to direct similar content towards you, or does it somehow make what you like more accessible to others? Maybe you could explain that a little bit.
Okay, so the effect that like or interacting with a piece of content is that kind of the algorithm starts thinking that that is what you like. And that's been my personal experience. The more I like some content, the same kind of content keeps showing up on my news feed, right? Facebook news feed and Twitter news feed used to be in chronological order when it started. When Facebook first started, it would just be like reverse chronological order. The latest post from your friends would be on the top, and the older ones would be at the bottom, and you just have to scroll through. It's just like, it would just be like reading an email. But over time, these algorithms through machine learning and AI have been trained to show the user the content that's relevant to them. So it's sort of like Facebook is rewarding relevancy over recency. It's not the most recent post that you would see, but the most relevant post, the post that is most relevant to you. That's the algorithmic timeline that most social media platforms use these days. And what it also does is probably they just have everything. They just know everything about you. We have to deal with that. They know who your friends are. They probably know your friends' interests. And they're going to tell, you know, when I like something, it may show up on my friend's wall saying, Raksha likes this. So it may show up on that person's wall as well. And in general, the effect is that more engagement a post or a piece of content gets, it gets shown to other people as well, prominently. So that is how it works.
Thank you.
Jitendra or John.
The excellent presentation, very, very intriguing and thought-provoking. I'm curious, one of the things that Musk claims is that he wants to go to an open source algorithm. And because he's concerned about what the Twitter algorithm tends to direct traffic, what are your thoughts? Is he on track with something like that? Or because it seems like just a ubiquitous thing. These algorithms are just driving so much at this point in any kind of discourse.
I'm not sure what he means by open source algorithms. That would mean usually open source code bases is something that everybody can contribute to. For example, Linux, the operating system is open source, which means that the code base is not owned by a company. It's sort of like every person who's able to write code and can contribute to the code base, and they can roll out versions of the software. So if he's looking at open source, I haven't read about it because his decisions keep changing day to day, hour to hour. It's difficult to keep up with Musk. If he's suggesting open source, then it means that there will be contribution from the crowd to that algorithm, and the company may not completely own that.
Yeah, I think his core concern is how do you actually know what's happening? In other words, things can start drifting, like you say, if there's volume building up, completely false information may start looking like reality. I think that's sort of, but I'm not sure he's thought it through entirely, because that sounds like essentially Twitter loses control of how it operates.
Yes, it will lose control. One thing that Twitter did, if I remember right, Twitter was one of the first platforms to deplatform Trump in the aftermath of 2020 elections, when a lot of misinformation was spreading. Facebook was still not on board, but Twitter, when they were pressured, they ended up doing the right thing. But it also depends upon how aware and conscious people are and how accountable they hold these social media platforms. So I think that is more important. Like I honestly believe technology is not the only thing that would drive change. It's the people and the minds and education, the right type of education.
I don't want to dominate, but it's interesting you make that comment, because Musk thinks Trump should be back on Twitter, because he said he's a free speech absolutist. You know, he thinks no matter what, people should be able to say what they think.
I mean, the only response I can have for that is if your freedom is only up until the point that it doesn't infringe on my freedom. So
Precisely.
Free speech is a gray area. We have another hand raised, but I'm not sure who that person is.
That's Galaxy Tab A7.
Hi, namaskar. This is Ganga. I'm calling you from Jamaica. My question is, I'm not comfortable with, I don't use Facebook a lot. I don't use Twitter and stuff. Can you say anything about Signal? because I understand the people who developed WhatsApp created Signal to do what WhatsApp is no longer doing. Could Signal be a platform that we could use? Or do you have any
Actually,
information? Do you have any?
yes, at Proutest Universal, we kind of communicate on Signal.
Oh, good.
Some of the people who contribute to the Facebook or Twitter posts from Proutest Universal are here, and we have kind of started adopting Signal mostly because it doesn't deal with the same kind of issues Facebook or WhatsApp is dealing with right now.
Right. Okay, good, because I don't like those. All right, good. Thank you.
Any other thoughts or questions?
Tapan,
Yeah, I have a question on Twitter. I do have an account on Twitter and I do subscribe to the Prout Alliance hashtag. Can you explain a little bit like how the Twitter accounts work? Because it sounds like a one-way street. You post something and it reaches out to a certain audience, but I don't see any option for I do see an option for likes, but does it work the same way it does work on the Facebook?
Probably retweet the same tweets.
I'm sorry.
You can retweet if you're looking at Prout Alliance tweets on your feed. You could
Uh-huh.
retweet it. Maybe I should just
Or retweet to my friends.
yeah.
Okay.
You could
retweeting
do
is like
that.
sharing in Facebook.
Okay. Okay. All right. But you have
Niranjana,
to have a lot of following for the Twitter to be effective, isn't it correct?
exactly, and that's the point I was getting to. That we have to build a network.
Okay.
These at the core of it, these social media platforms are networks. We have to share and we have to engage with people to build that network. Okay, Niranjana raised her hand, I think.
Yeah, so
I was
thank
wondering
you.
if you had anything to add to that question, Niranjana.
Well, a big part of building our social media presence is exactly what Tapan, and Deep were saying, that we have to amplify those who are following us. We have to increase the numbers of people who are following us, and all of that is time intensive. And so the way I've done it with my professional work, which is the local social justice group, is you start following groups that are aligned with your mission, and that in and of itself takes time, and it's also relationship building. And then usually what happens is they will follow you back. They don't always follow you back, but they might. And another way, of course, is if you get publicity in the regular local newspaper or some other publication, that is really helpful. Or you might write a community view piece in your local area, and put your Twitter, the Prout Twitter or your own Twitter. But we're talking here about organizational development. So the point being that it is definitely time intensive, and we are looking for Proutists such as yourselves on this Zoom to really help us build our presence, because that's how we can be more effective when we have more and more people following us on these different social media platforms.
Thanks, Niranjana. Yes, that's an excellent point. And that's something I do on Facebook as well. Follow other like-minded groups or pages. And I hope that catches their attention. And if they follow us back, then that's like forming another connection on that network of like-minded people. And I've put 2 email IDs on the chat. Please check. I've put links to all the social media accounts Prout Alliance and Proutest Universal uses, and email IDs to reach out to if you want to contribute. Suresh had a question, I think.
To unmute Suresh.
Right. Okay. So I'm no expert on Facebook or Twitter, but my impression is one difference between Twitter and liking on Facebook is that on Twitter, anybody can sign up to follow a Twitter poster. So you can have millions of followers of one poster, and they don't have to accept you or anything like that. So that's all I had to say.
Well, I think that happens even with Facebook. You could just follow a page. Let me just share the screen. I have this open. So yeah, here's Prout Alliance Facebook page. Just go, I don't see a like button because I've already liked it or I'm already following it. You will see a like button. You could just follow it. Right now, I think we have about 520 people who have liked and 581 people who are following.
Well, there are different levels of access on Facebook too, which as far as I know, are there different levels of access on Twitter? Maybe.
So a page is just like a public account or a public, it's public facing. Anybody can go like and follow unless it's a group where there are group settings and an admin should probably approve you. But there is no such restriction for a page. Just like a Twitter account, you would just go follow. There would be a follow button. You could just go like a page. So
well, I've followed a link to some Facebook pages, and as soon as I start scrolling down 2 inches, it pops up and says you have to sign in to see any more.
You should get maybe you should get a Facebook account.
Well, I do have a Facebook account, but
you probably have
I have to sign in to see that, which you wouldn't have to for Twitter, I suppose.
Twitter also asks you to sign in at some point. I don't have a Twitter account, and I always have this problem of somebody blocking me and saying you have to sign in. So the way I look at it, there is no harm in creating an account, whether you want to post about your personal life or not, but it's just good to have an account and see what's happening in the Prout space, at least on the social media platforms. So this is what I was talking about when I talk about engagement. Proutist Universal posted a post about an upcoming session. This had something to do with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and Sohail Inayatullah. He's popular too. So that got a lot of people to comment and to share. And that made the algorithm, right? The Facebook algorithm to think, okay, this is probably very relevant, and these are the numbers. In just the last 1 or 2 days, it's reached 941 people, 178 engagements, mostly because we got these many likes and a lot of comments. So that's really how algorithms work. They would reward relevancy, they would reward engagement, and start making it more popular on their platforms.
Is there a way that you can invite the people who like your Facebook page to follow you on Twitter, so you don't have to try and find them separately?
I don't think so. I've invited my Facebook friends to follow the pages that I follow, but no, I don't think there's a straightforward way to do that. You could share the Twitter link on the Facebook page so that people see that. Jitendra, you had something to share? Your hand is up. You're on mute.
It should probably be down.
Okay.
Sorry. So I guess if no one else has a question. So apparently with Twitter, the big issue is editing, which I guess users have been insisting that Twitter add, and it's been resistant. But again, that's something Musk doesn't like about Twitter, and he intends to change. Is that?
That is true.
Yeah. So in other words, if you put something on Twitter, even if you have a typo or something, you can't edit or correct it. Is that the problem?
That's what I believe is a problem right now.
Yeah.
You would have to delete the tweet and then write another tweet.
Yeah.
But that's not the problem with Facebook. You can edit. But in any case, my firm belief is people like Musk or Bezos they shouldn't be deciding what free speech means. They shouldn't be deciding who gets to edit what. So we have had this discussion. I think we may have shared some content also on Twitter and Facebook about how social media's platform should function. So there was someone, I don't recollect right now off the top of my head, someone who was suggesting that every single user be paid for putting content up. Because if you think about it, these are just platforms. We, the users, are creating content. And we are making the companies rich. So if everybody gets a little bit of a share of profit for the content they're generating in social media, then I think we all will have a say in what goes into social media and what doesn't go into social media. So that was an interesting thought that came up in one of our sessions.
Is anyone promoting that idea in legislation or media monitoring and control?
From what I see, they have only started now with the congressional hearings after a lot of misinformation has been spread.
It sounds like a way to get a lot of junk posted.
I'm sorry?
It sounds like a way to get a lot of junk posted. If you can just get paid for posting anything.
That's a good point too. I just brought this up because as users, we generate the content for them. It's not really so much they provide the platform. It's like you go to a library, there's a bookshelf, and a lot of books in the bookshelf. The platforms are like the bookshelf, and the books itself is another entity. So the data is placed on those shelves or those platforms. But you're right, that's something we should think about as well. If people start getting paid to create junk, then they'll be creating only the junk.
If there's one other question, I think we need to be sensitive to people's time, especially back east. So I think we're close to an hour here, but I think if anyone else has a question, we can certainly take one more.
There are also people who work with the Prout Universal social media team. Niranjana is one. I think Hiran Maya is here. I'm putting them all on spot, I guess. They have anything to share?
Alok is also here, and he's
Alok
part of
is here
that.
too. Okay, I think so.
This was an excellent presentation, Raksha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I hope more people can start contributing to the social media efforts. We definitely have to engage people out there on social media, especially the younger ones out there.
Reluctant as I am, you're inspiring me.
Thank you.
Some of us confess to being toward the Luddite end of the spectrum on some of this, but I think you're absolutely right. It's where young people in particular and people that are historically disenfranchised are communicating. And those are precisely the people that Prout needs to be engaging and educating and working with. So yeah, I think just a super excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Vanishta has her hand raised.
You need to be unmuted.
I was going to add something to my Tita's comments because I struggle in my infant massage work to use social media, and I find that there's a certain kind of resistance. One comes from feeling like one is wasting one's time and one can get totally absorbed by things, and I don't like that feeling. And another one is that at for those of us that are older, particularly women, we were not taught to toot. We were taught to not toot our own horn. And it's very hard for me to get on media and talk about myself or to convey an impression of myself, because everybody sort of makes up what they want to be online, you know, and creates it in a certain ways and editates things. And that feels really uncomfortable to me. So those are two things that make it hard for me to
And personally,
be online.
that's how I am too. I don't have Twitter. I have Facebook because it's something I created in college because it was a cool thing to do. That's the only social media account I have. And you don't really have to post about your personal life or your photos or your pictures or anything. The only engagement I have on social media is to share something about Prout. So we could just have an account, and if you keep interacting with Prout accounts, that's more than enough, I guess. That's more than enough contribution for the social media algorithms to pick that up as good content. So that's all I have to say. But you're right, Didi. There's too much junk out there. People trying to toot their own horns, and we don't have to pay attention to that. So over to you, Jitendra. That's all I had.
Yes, thank you again very much. And thanks to everyone who was able to participate and watch for when the recorded version is available. And
Ganga from Jamaica, it's nice to have you on.
Yes, thank you. Good to see you.
well, and Haran Maya, I think, has a question or comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that that the teams that are operating right now in social media is sort of a conglomeration of different types of people with different types of talents. So that because to penetrate and to understand how to navigate the social media requires a considerable amount of energy and time to put into it and to understand how they operate and where to find important places to comment on, to follow, and to attract people to our philosophy. So there are some people who are capable of doing that and have those skill sets, and there's other people who are just writing comments and ideas and contributing. So it's like different people who have different levels of skills are working together because at this point we don't have sophisticated social media people who really can manage all of these different tasks at once. So if you're interested in collaborating, you can collaborate at different. You may not even have to go into Facebook or Twitter at all yourself, but you can contribute with ideas and suggestions and graphics and connections. And also we retweet other interesting things that we find in social media that we get through our emails, through other friends. So it's a very dynamic process. And so don't think you need to actually only have these, be able to manage directly these accounts by yourself. That's all I wanted to add.
That is true. No special technical skills needed. You can hate the social media, but still be a part of social media efforts.
Any other questions? Again, we want to be sensitive to the time factor for everyone.